Okay, we'll start our post-qualifying availability with one of our Championship 4 drivers, and that is Kyle Larson. We'll get right to questions. We'll start over here with John Newby and then go to Bob.
John Newby, NBC Sports. So yesterday, Cliff said that, them having to re-vinyl part of the car, that just means they're in the right spot for the weekend. I mean, how important is it for you to have him having that support for you as you're just kind of pushing it to get everything out of the car?
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I don't think any team would be upset if their driver scuffed the wall on the straightaway, but as often as I do it, it doesn't seem to annoy him as much as maybe it would annoy some other crew chiefs. But no, I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, I feel like I have the support of my whole team, even when I make dumb mistakes. So, but yeah, no, I don't really know where I'm going with it, but it's just a scuff.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. My question was that just a mistake, or was there any concern about like just the handling of the car, the fact that you scrubbed?
I barely touched the wall.
Okay, and the fact that you and William, I want to say top 4 in this. Have you guys? Is it kind of like, is this a Hendrick race? I don't want to say to lose, but do you feel like you guys have kind of shown that you haven't lost a step since the spring?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think we all saw the practice sheets yesterday. I think the 12 and the 20 looked, a step better than, especially me and even William a little bit. So, was honestly surprised that they didn't make the final round there and all that. So, no, I'm not counting out Blaney or Bell at all. And, it's a long race, so they'll overcome wherever they start, and I'm sure they'll drive through the field. As the Final 4 guys, most everybody respects or shows a lot of respect to on the racetrack and gives a lot of space. So I think they'll find their way to the front pretty quickly.
Go to Jonathan.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts. Of course, a new tire this weekend. How'd it feel out there compared to the spring?
I mean, the spring's been so long ago that I don't really remember how I felt in practice, but yesterday I was just struggling for entry grip a lot, and we made a lot of adjustments overnight, and I felt much better there in qualifying, but it's qualifying trim versus race trim, so still don't really know how I'll be compared to yesterday, but I think the entry grip was maybe just better with the other tire. I don't really know even the differences within the tire, but yeah, so no, I mean, lap times seem to be a little bit faster, at least in qualifying trim, so I don't know what that means, though, for the race.
What is that?
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Kyle, you talked about it, the 12 and 20. I had that, what seemed like good long run speed yesterday in practice. How do you expect the conditions and what you guys learned in that practice session yesterday to translate to what we'll see tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I missed practice. It was great to have practice, but 50 minutes at night, 3 sets of tires, like it was just chaos yesterday. So I miss, I don't know. I'm not saying I missed the 3 practice sessions that we used to have, but like I thought it was just really chaotic yesterday. I felt like it was way more chaos than a 20-minute session, just because 3 sets of tires. It's like you were always in traffic because somebody was you were either catching somebody or you were in the way of somebody. Being on different laps on tires. So it was yesterday's practice was difficult, and then nighttime. Like we don't race anywhere close to nighttime tomorrow. So yeah, I left last night just basically being more confused, I think, than had I just not practiced at all. So that was just interesting and makes the weekend kind of more difficult, and I guess that part of it's good.
Go over here for a couple.
Giuliano Moeller, Blaze Radio. Kyle, you have 7 top 5 finishes here at Phoenix. You look good in qualifying. How confident are you going into tomorrow?
I don't know. I mean, last night I was not too confident, just more so confused. But we qualified better today than I thought we would. So I think my race car is quite a bit better than we were yesterday. But I understand it's gonna be a tough race. So I don't know. I mean, past results, help confidence, but it's a different race every time you come back.
A few more in here. Just a heads up for the media. Martin Trix Jr. is now in the driver meeting room. We'll pick it up going over here.
Kyle, Eric List, Blades Radio. You've been here before. You've won a championship. What experiences can you draw on from then to now?
Nothing. I mean, I said a lot on media day, but it's a totally different, series than it was 2 years ago. The cars are different. Restarts are different. Just the style of racing is different. The way cars react around other cars is different. So there's not really anything I feel like I can take from a couple years ago other than just knowing that we've done it before, so we could do it again. But that really doesn't mean anything either.
We'll go Dustin and then wrap with Jerry.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Kyle, a few years back in the championship race, you had talked about when you were running second of really not wanting to upset things and being very respectful. Is that era still exist in this series now? Obviously, there's a lot of guys that are up at the front right now that will be looking for wins, or even somebody making their last start, something like that. Is there the expectation now that people will race you as you raced a few years back in Homestead?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think every circumstance is different. I think then that race you're speaking of, I was running third actually, and I was really fast catching Martin, who was leading, but catching Kyle as well, and I knew if I passed Kyle, I was gonna screw his chance at winning a championship. So I kind of want to leave it to those two to race it out. So I don't know if things are. I think it just varies from driver to driver. I think there's a handful of drivers in the field that would have the championship 4 drivers in mind, and then there's probably a handful of drivers that are gonna race hard, which you can appreciate both ways. I know everybody wants to win a cup race. They're hard to win. And, Phoenix, I feel like there's probably more opportunity for people to win than probably at Homestead, back then. So I think because of that, I think the people will be more aggressive in the way that they race, or just race more normal, probably. But like I said, every circumstance is different, so you don't really know until you get out there and get in those situations.
We'll close it out with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net. So Blaney's 15th, Bell's 20th, you're 4th, and Larson is, and Byron is 1st. Does any of that really matter? Because we see this race come down to the last pit stop. Does any of that help you at all? Early on, I guess, but at the end of the race, what are you looking for to make sure that you get off pit road?
Even though they start 15th and 20th, they still get to pick 3rd and 4th pit stall selections. So they're still going to up in a good stall, and then their cars were obviously really good in practice yesterday, so they're going to find their way to the front. So I don't view anything about where they qualified. I wish I would have got the pole. Just was a little bit off of William there. I think honestly, if I would have just qualified a little bit better the first round, I think what I did in the second round would have caught him off guard a little bit sooner than it did, and I probably would have beat him, and you got that first pit stall selection. But just got to execute every chance you get, and I just didn't execute quite good enough the first round.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate the time. Good luck tomorrow. All right, we're now joined by Ryan Blaney. If you have a question for Ryan, raise your hand. We'll get you a mic. Just over here with John.
John Newby, NBC Sports. Obviously, when you're running for the championship, NASCAR's unique with everyone else in the field still there. So how do you kind of balance the aggressiveness of the other drivers that may be trying to win, first race of the season for them?
You're still racing everybody, right? And I think everyone understands though. Like, you're pretty respectful of the 4 guys that are racing for it, race for the championship, right? Like, if you're running backside of the top 10 and championship 4 guys kind of hounding on you, like, you usually cut them some slack. At least that's how I've always kind of done it. Let them do their own deal. Racing for the win is a little bit different, I would say. Like, if you have a non-championship guy racing a championship guy for the win, that gets a little bit more up in the air. But I don't know. I feel like it's always been a decent balance of everyone else in the field respecting the 4 guys. It's not like they're just going to pull out of the way for you every chance you get, but they're fairly respectful. So
Go to Zach up front here.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Ryan, how would you evaluate the car through qualifying? And obviously, looking at the speed charts from yesterday, it seems like you and the 20 both had good long run speed. Did that factor into maybe not having that single lap speed?
yeah, maybe a little bit. I thought we were pretty competitive yesterday in practice, and yeah, just lacked the pace today in qualifying. And it's a place qualifying's been somewhere we've struggled at here the last little bit, and we seem to race really good, but just qualifying we just can't find the grip and speed that other groups can. And whatever that is, we've tried everything to try to get that better because it's hard. When you don't qualify in the top 10, and it's I think we snuck in at Homestead at 10th, but we've been outside the top 10 at Vegas and Martinsville, and was able to drive our way forward. So hopefully we have that kind of race pace tomorrow. It's nice that the championship 4 folks, we pick stalls the top 4 to where we have a halfway decent one. But yeah, we got a work cut out for us tomorrow. Hopefully our car is good enough to where we can drive through it, but long race we can get there.
Go to Jonathan.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts. Of course, this weekend you got the new tire. How'd that feel in practice and the runs you made?
Yeah, it was it's all right. I thought it fell off fairly decent, honestly. I think you're going to see more fall off tomorrow with it being hot and slick. Last night's practice, that's a tough one. It's a tough one I don't know why they schedule it at that time, to be honest with you. It's so much different than where we're going to have the race tomorrow. Maybe they do that on purpose to where teams are scratching their head for the race tomorrow when it's hot and slick. But, yeah, I think you're going to see more fall off than last night. But I still thought I had fairly good drop off. But, yeah, I think it's hard to tell from practice. You kind of have to get in the race and all the cars on the racetrack and see how the track rubber's up and then really see where it falls off to. So I don't really feel too much of a difference with it, but you never know. Once we get 50 laps into a run, it might change it,
Go up here to Jenna.
Jennifer, AP. Ryan, I just wanted to know how you're feeling. Like, your voice is kind of flat. I don't know if you're disappointed in your qualifying effort or if you've got any sense of how you feel about tomorrow yet.
I'm a pretty flat person. I don't know if you've... Yeah, thank you. You brought it out of me now. Yeah, I don't really feel either way about it. I think, I didn't expect to qualify where we did. I expected to be a little bit better, but I know qualifying hasn't really been our strong point this year, really, at all. I don't have any poles this year where we had like 4 last year, so it's just a place we've struggled at with the single lap speed, but, pretty optimistic that we can get our way through the field tomorrow. So, yeah, bummed, but I'm not really like letting it dwell on me. Like, we came from 15th on the last restart at Martinsville last week and won the race. So hopefully we can carry that over to, race pace. So seems to be our best quality right now is once we get into the run. Hopefully that was cheery enough for you.
We'll go to Holly and then wrap it up with Cole.
Ryan, that was kind of where I was going with that. Does it give you maybe a certain level of comfort that others don't have because you've been able to rally from wherever you qualify and bring it up like you had, and you mentioned last week, obviously?
Yeah, I think it if I had to choose one, it would obviously be, pace in the race, instead of having 1 lap speed and qualifying. And we've kind of been on both ends of it. Teams will be on both ends of it kind of, at certain points of the year. But, yeah, it does give me more confidence, and it makes me not worry as much about where we qualified because we've qualified bad before here in the playoffs, and we've been able to race our way forward. Hopefully that's still the case tomorrow. Hopefully we bring that same, speed in the race. But, yeah, it definitely is something like our group wasn't really stressed out at all after qualifying, right? You just understand it's a long race tomorrow. Hopefully with the changes we made from last night, for the race tomorrow is going to pay off and we went in the right direction. And if not, we'll try to get in the right direction, So this deal I've been saying is like, it's nice having to only worry about the end of the race in the Champ 4, right? You're not worried about playoff points, stages, where are those guys at, right? You're just focused more on the end of the race. Like, I almost think it's kind of an easier race to kind of go through. There's less stuff going on, I think. But, yeah, I think our group's in a good spot. So hopefully we're good tomorrow.
We'll wrap with Cole.
Cole Guzman with Arizona Republic. Ryan, the pole sitter has won the race and the championship every year since it's been in Phoenix. I'm sure there's no concern, charging through the field and getting up to the lead. But as far as that preferred pit stall qualifying 15th, is there any concern on that front and pitting in from not that preferred stall?
Yeah, I mean, it's always an advantage to be in stall one, and that was like the goal of today, right? It's like everyone's trying to get that stall. The four of us are trying to get that stall, and so that's an advantage. I think especially if you have some late race restarts, right? That where the box is compared to the timing line is pretty short. Like it's not the shortest one. It's not like Charlotte short, but it's still not a lot of room, so you don't have to get up to speed. So it's just an advantage, and that's a positive thing about being good on Saturdays. Is you qualify good and you get rewarded with a pit stall, but it's like doubling down every time you lose a hand in blackjack. It's got to eventually turn. So hopefully for us tomorrow, it's not a fourth in a row. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ryan. Good luck tomorrow, bud. We're now joined by the Busch Light Pole Award winner for tomorrow's championship race and a member of the championship for William Byron. William, come on, Christopher. We're also now joined by Christopher Bell as well. If you have a question for William or Christopher, please raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. We'll start with Zach in the front and go around.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. William, to your left here. Congratulations on the pole. Do you feel like you guys have the race pace to match that? Obviously, looking at the practice speeds yesterday, it seemed like the 20 and the 12 both had long run speed. Do you feel like you guys have that in the 24 car?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we were right there in the mix. We definitely needed to connect our corner a little bit better and just kind of get our overall balance a little bit closer. But felt like we leaned heavily on some of the Chevy teammates. So thanks to Kyle Busch and RCR for some of the changes they made and also the one car. So I feel like we have something to race with.
Go up to Jonathan.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts. Question for each of you. I'll start with William. William, knowing the 24 car's legacy and I guess the championship dry spell, now that you're at this point, I mean, what are your thoughts, feelings?
I don't really think about that. I think that, maybe when I got in the car, I felt that way and thought about that, but not at this point. So it's just all about our team that we've built. And, it's great. It's great to have Jeff here and his support and we share a bond, but I'm not thinking about that when I'm driving.
Sure. And for Christopher, knowing that you and Larson are facing off in such a high stakes battle, how does it feel to be representing the dirt community and just everything that's going on?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's, I hope that our story, which is oddly similar, I hope that spreads hope to young racers out there. And, I think that should extend outside of the dirt community, even to, late models, bandoleros, legend cars, whatever it is that, if you win races, then you're going to get opportunities. And that's just the motto that I want to share, and I want young racers out there to believe.
Go here to Bob and then Jerry.
Or in William's case, iRacers.
That's true. Don't forget about the dirt iRacing community.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. I have one for each of you. First, Christopher, you were tops in 10-lap average yesterday. Obviously didn't qualify the way you wanted. So are you optimistic because of yesterday or worried because of today?
Bob, I'm probably more optimistic because I've never won a race from the pole. So, obviously the pit stall is a great advantage, and we gave it to William. So congratulations on that. But aside from that, I think the starting position is less of a factor just because it's 312 laps. But yesterday in practice, my car showed great pace, and that leaves me feeling very optimistic. And certainly the whole weekend has gone a lot better than it did 12 months ago.
And for William, I don't know if you know, but like the restart zone was in one area yesterday. They moved it back to where it's supposed to be. You're obviously leading the field on the initial restart. So I'm curious, like, did that matter that they moved it back to where it was? Like, do you practice that kind of thing? And would it have messed you all up for the start of the race if it was in a different spot?
I think it would have definitely been an adjustment, given where it was. I mean, just watching the truck race and kind of seeing how that played out. But yeah, I think moving it back to the traditional spot is great. Kudos to them for doing that and recognizing it. And I think, I don't think I'll really do anything different on the initial start. Just try to have a good start, I guess. Get through the gears.
Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires.net. Real quick for both of y'all, we've been through press conferences after press conferences to get to this point. Are you guys, is this kind of like a relief that, now you get to get in the car and, go race?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's nice to be done with all the hoopla. So it's going to be great to get in the car. But I mean, it's been nice. I love it out here. We've done a lot of fun things, and my friends are here, and I'm just excited to kind of do normal stuff for the next 24 hours.
Christopher, for you, is it finally you get to focus on just racing now?
I mean, not yet. We still have a couple appearances tomorrow, I think, all four of us together. So we're not to that point yet, and we won't be until they do the national anthem, and then it'll finally be time to get in your car and race. So, but one thing that I am really focused on is enjoying the moment. This is it's a really, really cool deal, and a lot of people would give to be in the position that William and I are both in. So just trying to enjoy the moment.
Go to Davey, and then over here.
Davey Siegel with Sirius XM in the back. A lot of in the past races have come down to a final pit stop and a short green flag run. With that being said, how do you guys feel about confidence-wise your speed in the short run versus the long run tomorrow, and what's more important, I guess?
Try to be good the whole run, but I think honestly for us it's not really that focused until maybe we see in the race what our weaknesses are. But in practice, it was nobody ran 60 laps on tires to know what that fall off's going to be like. But I felt like we were all kind of close.
Christopher.
Eric List, Blaze Radio.
Oh, sorry. Christopher had to answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The short run, long run stuff, like everybody is so tight, and like they post the practice results of the 10-lap averages, and from the best car to the fourth of us was what, a tenth of a second? Like that's going to come down to who's out front, and typically I think short run cars are dictated by where you restart. If you restart on the front row, it looks like you have a great short run car. If you restart fifth row, it won't look like you have a good short run car. So there's a lot that will play out in the race, and like William said, you learn more about your car whenever you get into the first stage and know where you stack up against the competition.
Good.
Eric List, Blaze Radio, and for William, your first time in the championship 4. Have you gotten any advice from Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, the guys that have done it, and what have they told you?
No, not really. I mean, I haven't really asked. I feel like it's just trying to experience it for myself. That's the best way you can learn. So I feel like for me, I kind of go back to Xfinity days and what that felt like, because it was the same format, albeit a lot different, competition. But I just kind of go back to my own experience, because I feel like that's all that really matters.
I have another one over here, and then we'll wrap up with Rob.
Cooper Burns, BlazeRadioOnline.com. This is a question for either of you. Either you can answer, but you kind of talked about being out front and how important it's going to be in clean air. When you're in the back and sort of the middle of the pack on a restart, how conscious are you going to be of the balance between trying to pass a bunch of cars and being aggressive and taking care of your car, because it can get 4 and 5 wide pretty easily?
Yeah, I guess I'll take this one since he's out front. But it's thankfully, I feel like once you get into this championship race, the field is pretty respectful of who's racing for the championship. So that's really good. And last year I was in a similar position. I think I qualified in the teens, and it's a long race. This is not a place where you can restart in the teens and then in a couple laps be in the top 5. It just doesn't happen. So you have to be aggressive on restarts, and you have to trust your other competitors that they're going to race you with respect whenever you get into those 4 and 5 wide positions where contact can happen.
Good, Rob.
I'm struck by seeing the two of you guys sitting up there. You're each respectively potentially the future of these two iconic teams, and could go on to become a great rivalry for the years to come. I'd like to hear each of you just talk about each other as a driver and how kind of the future feels like it's here.
Yeah, I mean, Christopher and I have known each other since trucks, so we spend a lot of time racing each other, and I feel like that that has continued into the Cup Series. We got in a little bit different time, a little bit different path, but we've always raced really hard and with respect, and it's just it's good to race people all the way up through the ranks because I feel like you really respect those kind of people more so than just someone, I guess, who came in and you don't know anything about. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, William and I have a unique relationship because we're teammates whenever we started out our NASCAR career, I guess, so to speak, and we were buds back in the day. Like, it was just me and him, he's probably honestly the closest teammate that I've ever had in my career in 2016, just bouncing ideas off of and talking about, how we're really working together to better both of us. So, we have a great history, and we kind of went our separate ways after that year at KBM. But it certainly was something that I look back at and think it was pretty cool, to have both of us in the Final Four racing for our first championship and the camaraderie that we have now.
So we do have time for one more. We got Jordan here, and we're up there.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This question's for William. You talked about being in this format before in the Xfinity Series, and there's a lot of always talk about, first-timers in this format, pressure, that kind of thing. Do you really feel any pressure? Is it really any different, or is it just kind of a normal weekend in a lot of respects?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be nervous because that's normal, but I think that having that experience was something that really stuck with me to get in the Cup Series, and I don't feel any different this week. I feel like it's a lot of pressure to get to the Final Four. I feel like all of us would say that it's a big accomplishment to get here, and you'd like to have this every year. You'd like to have the same meaning behind the championship weekend. So I'm excited. I feel like we have a great opportunity.
All right, Christopher, William, thank you so much for the time. Good luck tomorrow.